Afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is September 25, 2025. My name is Mike Kelly. I am the Chair of the Board of County Commissioners in Johnson County, Kansas. We are here with the Board of County Commissioners. Unfortunately, Commissioner Myers is absent today due to family reasons, and we wish his family our thoughts and prayers. But we do have a quorum of commissioners here for an agenda review for the meeting that'll take place on October 2nd, 2025. Therefore, I'd ask the clerk to please read item number 1 on the agenda for the October 2nd meeting.
Consider approving the September 4th, 2025 business session minutes.
Are there any questions on those minutes? Seeing none, would the clerk read number 2, please?
Consider authorizing a contract authority increase for the term and supply contracts with multiple suppliers for furniture purchases in the amount of $4,080,000 for a revised aggregate authority amount not to exceed $7,080,000 for the third yearly renewal option term through November 14th, 2026, per invitation to bid IFB 2022-063.
Lydia Travis here from Facilities to discuss the matter. Welcome back.
Good afternoon, Lydia Travis with Facilities Management. This item, as stated, is a request to increase contractual authority for an existing furniture term and supply contract in preparation for furniture procurement associated with the new health services building. That procurement is anticipated to occur in Q3 of 2026, and so we are requesting that this authority for the contract be increased for this upcoming term, which spans from November of 25 to November of 26. Facilities Management, in collaboration with FMA Purchasing, has analyzed our options for procurement, that being utilizing the existing term and supply contract or issuing a formal bid. The existing term and supply contract is very robust. It was originally solicited in 2022, and 10 firms or 10 vendors responded to that solicitation. All 10 were awarded the contract, and we have negotiated pricing with over 40 manufacturers through those vendors. By utilizing the term and supply contract, that helps make sure that we maintain our furniture standards, which helps us maintain our flexibility and our asset management strategies that are in place for our furniture programs. It also ensures that we're working with vendors who have high quality service and can perform in tight installation timelines like what we have for the health services building, and provide ongoing service for warranty claims and punch list items. We also acknowledge that and want to make everyone aware that if we were to issue a formal bid, we would have to hire a consultant, and that would be an additional expense in the project to develop detailed specifications and bid documentation. And that process would add up to 4 months to the furniture procurement timeline for that project. I want to reiterate that this is not a budget request or a funding request. We're only requesting an increase in contractual authority to this existing term and supply contract. And with that, I will pause for any questions.
Thank you very much. And just to cut to the chase here, make sure I understand, we are not asking for new authority for furniture for the health services building. We are instead asking that the existing term and supply contracts, which have already been established and are utilized in other facilities in Johnson County, be the method utilized to procure furniture for HSB. In doing so, do it so not only to our robust standards for term and supply contracts, but to maintain consistency with the furniture that we'd have in our buildings, but to not necessitate a laborious RFP process and a consultant to otherwise procure what we hope would be consistent furniture for HSB as to other buildings in the county.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. All right, not seeing further questions on that. Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
I had mine. Whoa!
I'm looking for hands here. Forgive me. All right, Commissioner Brewer, go ahead.
Yes, it looks like the history of this is that typically what's previously been approved is that $3 million budget
For the contract authority for
For
furniture.
the
term and
contract
supply.
authority.
Yes.
And we're just asking for a limited term in the window of when the human service building is going to come online. You're asking for that bump up.
That is
So after that time expires, you're anticipating that that contract authority would reset back to what had been previously approved.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Ashcraft.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Travis, this question came up a few years ago when the courts building was built or was going to be built, and furniture was an issue of concern. I mean, it was a big request. It may be a little bit bigger than this, but a substantial request. And at that time, a number of vendors argued that we should not purchase from the term and supply contract because when you have furniture ordered in mass, manufacturers offer very deep discounts because it gives them an opportunity to leverage their resources and then pass that along to consumers. So how do we guard against that concern here? And I'm just looking at that. I understand the term and supply, but that's based upon one somewhat narrow list of assumptions. And this is a big ask. So did you work through that? How do we know that we aren't bumping up against a big discount opportunity?
Sure. So many of the manufacturers that are available through the term and supply, when that was negotiated, offered tiered discounting structures based on volume that's already baked into our term and supply contract. So we are seeing pretty significant discounts on product based on volume as part of that contract.
And forgive me, were you here during the court? So
Yes.
we did not have that option then?
We did, I believe, for the courthouse project, we did utilize term and supply for a portion of that furniture.
Yeah, but the question, though, is, does it recognize the substantial request now? Do we get the full leverage out of it?
Oh, I see. I would need to go back and compare to the courthouse project and the term and supply contract at that time. It has since been solicited again, so
Right.
to
No,
understand if the same discounting structure or tiers by volume is applicable in the contract
Maybe we could
today.
visit on it
Yeah.
before next week.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Commissioner Allenbrand.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm struggling with this a little bit, but I could probably answer Commissioner Ashcraft's questions because, you know, when you do buy directly, you also have to have a warehouse to have it shipped to, and you have to have somebody receiving it. And I don't know if the county's set up for that.
No, we use our furniture vendors for that, so the product is shipped to their
'Cause
warehouses.
That's a huge, in my industry, I used to do that. I would contract with the warehouse and have it shipped to the warehouse, which is a huge buying discount, but you also have to have somebody ready on the other end.
Sure.
So that's a cost. It's a big cost. So I'm just having a hard time understanding. And so did we already have this money allocated for this building, or we're asking for another $1 million?
We're not asking for funding today at all. This is just asking for contract authority so that we can utilize our term and supply contract to procure furniture.
Okay, so you're not asking for more money, you're just
Correct.
asking for the authority because of the amount of money. Okay, well, you don't need to.
It is
explain me.
confusing.
I totally understand.
It
Thank
is
you.
confusing, I understand.
Okay, the screen shows no more hands. I see no more hands. You good?
I started to push my button but
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Could the clerk read number 3, please?
Could we move that to action?
Sure.
Thank you.
Resolution number 122-25, application numbers E25-510-CUP, E25-511-PDP, and E25-512-FDP. Consider a request from David Escoff Escove Architecture, applicant on behalf of Woody Palmer, Stillwell Land Holdings, landowner for a revised preliminary and final development plan for personal storage business and conditional use permit for an outdoor storage yard for a term of 10 years at Storage Hall located at 7225 West 207th Street on 6.37 acres and zoned PEC-3, Planned Light Industrial Park District.
Welcome back, Michelle Leiniger.
Good afternoon, Michelle Leiniger, County Planning Staff. As stated, these are applications for a revised preliminary and final development plan and a conditional use permit for a storage facility shown on your screen on the vicinity map at the southwest corner of 207th and Metcalf. In this aerial, you can see the existing conditions today, which is 4 fully enclosed storage buildings and then some exterior storage in the middle. Here's a proposed development plan with the site improvements proposed shown in black, and they're on the eastern side of the property and the southern side of the property. The proposal shows 3 new buildings on the east side of the property, and then a small addition on the southern building for a total of 14,580 square feet of new interior storage space. Proposal also shows some expansion of the exterior storage space on the western side of that southern building again, and then along the southern property line. The exterior storage is what triggers the additional process for the CUP in addition to the PDP and FDP. At the September 3rd East Zoning Board meeting, the board recommended approval of the applications with stipulations as recommended by staff. No members of the public spoke on this item, and I can answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Leiniger. Plus item. I guess my only question is on the stipulations, and not to dive too deep into the weeds. There's a particular stipulation regarding the CCT luminaries for fixtures. Was that a recommendation by staff, by the applicant, by the zoning board itself? Can you help me understand the history behind that request?
So the lighting is what you're specifically asking about?
Yeah, number 6A.
Okay, so as you've heard, lighting is a big deal in Stillwell.
Shocker.
These are stipulations that were included with the previous CUP, with the previous development plan that was approved in 2022. There are attached cut sheets with the resolution and the plan that show the proposed lighting. Sometimes things change, so if they decide on a different fixture, we have included that stipulation just to make sure that the new standard also matches those requirements. And those are pretty typical standards that we've carried through in the industrial areas in the Stillwell area.
So this particular standard is a carryover?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Commissioner Brewer, go ahead.
Could we go to the previous slide, and then we'll go back to that one? Remind me, is the property just slightly south and to the west of this property, is it the same owner? Do you know? Did you just see a portion of that?
No,
in this
it's
side?
not.
Okay. And if you want to go back to the slide we were on before, I was just trying to understand a little bit when I read over the materials, and I hadn't had a chance to listen to the East Zoning Board meeting from the September 3rd date. But there was, in the briefing and in the materials provided, some concentration on the condition of the gravel that's being proposed for that northeast side. Why gravel there instead of, since the rest was already, since the current state of the property, except for that, I understand that where most of that development is going to be is kind of where that undeveloped section of that northeast corner of that property already is, but I was just curious why gravel over concrete there?
Our code does not require paved drive aisles and such. That way it matches the rest of the site also. We do have provisions in there for dust abatement in case it gets really dusty.
I saw the dust abatement. Is the site currently gravel?
It
the
is.
rest- Okay, that's what I was
Yep.
missing, because when I
Yep,
looked at the
it's-
aerial and I was reading, it just, from
Yeah.
the aerial, it looked like that was concrete, but it's not. It's already gravel. So
It's
just
already
con-
gravel.
It's
The
contiguous to what they already have.
Yes, the only thing that's paved is the entrance from the street to the secured gate.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
See no further questions. Thank you very much, Ms.
Thank you.
Leininger. Will the clerk read number 4, please?
Resolution number 119-25, approve and adopt resolution number 119-25, authorizing the offering for sale of approximately $60,310,000 principal amount of general obligation internal improvement bonds, Series 2025A, the Series 2025A bonds of Johnson County, Kansas.
Leslie Friedel here to discuss the bonds. Welcome back.
Hi, I'm Leslie Friedel with Budget and Financial Planning, and we plan to go to the market on October 22nd, which is a Wednesday, and then we will come back before you on the next day to have the board approve those items. This particular issue will be $60,310,000. That's a preliminary amount, and it will fund 4 projects. The first 2 projects are wastewater projects, which have both been before you and approved. They are each, the details are in the briefing sheet, but they're each about $40 million projects, so we're funding at approximately 50/50 cash and 50% with the bond proceeds, the GEO bond proceeds. The next 2 items are T-hangers for the airport, which will be paid back, all these items up to this point will be paid back over 20 years. And airport T-hangers will be financed with the revenues from the T-hangers. And then the last item is continued GEO bonds for the infrastructure related to the development at New Century Commerce Center. That one does include capitalized interest and will be paid back over 30 years, with a deferred principal payment being deferred the first few years. And this, we did this structure for New Century, similar structure 2 years ago in '23. If you have any questions, I guess the only other thing I could say is, in your materials, there was a pre-issuance report from Baker Tilly, our municipal advisor, and the preliminary interest rate they're projecting for these tax-exempt bonds is 4.6.
Very good. Thank you. Now it's, Commissioner Ashcraft, go ahead.
Ms. Friedel, I'm sorry. What has been the recent history on those interest rates for our issuances? This sounds,
So a year,
this is a little up, isn't it?
yes, and the market, according to Elizabeth Bergman, our municipal advisor, is moving favorably. Usually, these early estimates are higher than what we end up. Occasionally, the market does not move the way we're thinking it will, and occasionally we have come back with the opposite results. But in my time here, almost always, we beat the early projections.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Brewer.
So I think you answered my question, because my question was going to be, in the materials provided, the general obligation internal revenue bond series 2025A issue summary, pricing summary, the term, the column entitled coupon, is that the interest rate? Okay, but you shared that you believe that when the dust settles, the average interest rate will be the 4.6%?
The interest rate that we use is the true interest cost, which is down further on those pages, and I can show you after the meeting if you want.
Okay.
The coupon rates are before the premium has been added, and these bonds do include a premium. We anticipate a premium on this sale, and so we may have to resize the day of the sale to just for the actual premium that we get. But our goal is to make sure we cover the project cost of $60,863,000, plus any other cost of financing that are associated with it.
And that reoffering premium is that 1.39?
Yes, it is.
change? Okay, and so then I see the net interest cost is the 4.651 and change, and then the true interest cost.
And we use the true interest cost. When they put their bids in, we go with the lowest bid on the true interest cost.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, not seeing further questions. Thank you, Ms. Friedel. Item number 5, please, Madam Clerk.
Consider authorizing a contract amendment with Lincoln Financial Group, LFG, to add FMLA leave administration services in the amount of $110,000 annually, resulting in a revised total annual contract authority not to exceed $394,365 per RFP 2024-009.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners.
My apologies, Ms. Holloway. Go ahead.
Kayla Holloway, HR Director. So I am here today with Director of FMA, Brent Christensen, to propose and request your consideration and approval for this amendment to the Lincoln Financial Group contract to extend to include family medical leave administration. For context, the Family Medical Leave Act is a mandated federal benefit that provides eligible employees with up to 12 weeks of job-protected unpaid leave in a rolling calendar year for qualifying medical and family reasons. While the law is essential to support employee well-being, its administration is highly complex, individually nuanced, and labor-intensive. For these reasons, it also becomes a high-risk area of employment for employers. As shown in the slide, in the next slide, there we go. Our current FMLA process includes multiple departments, including human resources, financial management and administration, and personnel from all departments, agencies, and offices. Staff currently must manually track leave, monitor eligibility, and coordinate employees and supervisors, often using manual spreadsheets, alongside our Oracle systems. This fragmented approach increases the risk of errors, inconsistent application, and potential breach of private health information. Our HR department processes between 2,000 and 2,500 FMLA requests annually, which is nearly 5 times the national benchmark for organizations our size. Each claim requires approximately and conservatively 3 hours of staff time, even when the request is ultimately denied for valid reasons. This workload diverts valuable departmental resources away from core service delivery and more proactive and strategic organizational objectives. The current decentralized process lacks consistency, increases the risk of non-compliance, and places a significant burden on our departments, many of whom are already operating with reduced staff due to leave. In some cases, 25% of a department's staff and workforce may be on leave at any given time. I'd like to turn this over to Mr. Christensen now to talk a little bit more about the details of the proposal and the existing contract with Lincoln Financial.
Thank you, Kayla. Brent Christensen, Financial Management Administration. So our two departments, HR and Finance, are proposing to outsource the FMLA administration with the county's current sick disability administrator, who is Lincoln Financial Group. The county is in their first year of a 5-year agreement with Lincoln Financial, and the county's procurement policy allows departments to add services like a current vendor without requiring a separate solicitation. Once the Lincoln Financial contract ends in 2029, HR and Finance will follow the RFP process to solicit for combined services with the goal to seek one vendor to administer both these programs. This amendment will provide a single point of intake for leave and disability claims, ensure consistent, compliant, and confidential handling of sensitive employee information, offer robust tracking, reporting, and communication tools, reduce the county's exposure to legal and privacy risks, and allow HR and departmental staff to focus on strategic initiatives and service delivery. Like I said, by using the same vendor to administer the county's FMLA administration, will provide better employee experience for those who are seeking sick disability coverage. Sometimes employees on FMLA do not know we do have a sick disability program, and our goal is to have more real-time access through Lincoln Financial's dashboards that can help staff communicate with employees or those employees seeking FMLA, provide them the help that they need to get them on sick disability. Also, For my staff and benefits, we would like to be able to be proactive to monitor what's going on with our employees, because there's times where employees are on FMLA for an off work for 3 to 4 months. We want to have the ability to reach out to those employees to see if we need to start the long-term disability process through CAPERS. That process usually can take 4 to 6 weeks. In terms of costs, we have what we call your honor, self-generated invoices at Lincoln Financial. Each month, we take a number of covered eligible employees by month, and I pay it per head count. As referenced in the briefing sheet, we have around 3,600 eligible employees each month. The proposed rate of $247 per month, per employee per month, equates to $106,704 annually, which closely aligns with the requested amendment amount. As you know, the HR department structure has revised. That has led to a reduction in one HR management position that was converted to an HR partner. We are proposing to repurpose the salary savings between what was budgeted in '26 for the HR management position and what the current replacement salary costs are today. We are not seeking for any additional budget authority. We are just seeking the board's approval to increase the current Lincoln Financial contract by $110,000 per year. So by outsourcing FMLA administration, and integrated claims management is recommended as the best practice for large organizations by the Society of Human Resources Management. It enhances compliance, reduces administrative burden, and improves employee experience. Lincoln Financial has demonstrated strong performance in customer service and is administering our existing benefits. We believe this contract amendment is prudent, and strategic investment in operational efficiency, legal compliance, and employee support. Thank you for consideration. We're happy to answer your questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Christensen. Thank you, Ms. Holloway. This is a $110,000 matter, which otherwise is below our $150,000 level that would otherwise come to the board. But because it is being proposed to be added to the Lincoln Financial Group's existing contract, that would exceed the $150,000 cap.
That is correct.
So this is a matter where I'm going to defer to the expertise of staff. Let me say that I appreciate the work that's been done, particularly within the HR department over the last 6 months, and I appreciate that we're seeing really fruits from that labor and how best we can manage various parts of that department. And so outsourcing FMLA leave administration, freeing up the internal bandwidth, I think is a prudent matter. And so thank you for bringing it before us. Commissioner Hanslick, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you. Well, thank you, Ms. Holloway and Mr. Christensen. As someone who had previously administered FMLA for a nonprofit, I completely agree with everything you've said about the reasons for hiring and putting this in the hands of a third-party administrator. It's so complicated, and at least in my experience, sometimes, too, there are subjective decisions that have to be made, and I think those are better made by someone who can be more objective. So I very much support this move. I did have a question, though, about, you mentioned that we will be adding this amendment to our current contract with Lincoln Financial Group for a certain period of time, and then after that period of time, you would go out to the market for bids on the whole package.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me a little bit better sense of that timeline, please?
Yeah, so in, what year is this, 25? In 24, we did an RFP for just strictly the sick disability and supplemental life insurance RFP that we came to the board in 24 that's to start in January 25. So this is our first year. We had Lincoln Financial for the past 5 years before that. And so as part of the first year, we'll start in year 2 in 26 with Sick Disability Administration and FMLA Administration. And so we'll have another 4 years. So in 29, beginning of 29, we will do a RFP to ask to check solicit for both those services, and hopefully our goal is to have one vendor, because again, it really makes it much easier that you're dealing with one vendor than two different vendors when there's a lot of tie-in here. And to be honest with you, I said, Society of Human Resources is recommending this. I've been wanting something like this for 20 years because it's very labor intensive, especially in my department, and the lines of communication is very difficult between working with HR, working with employee, work with capers. There's just a lot of different moving parts, and just having one point of contact will help my staff tremendously.
Just to follow up on that, just out of curiosity, do we have a third-party vendor overseeing our COBRA, or do we do that in-house?
We have a third-party vendor for that, too.
Okay, yeah, that's been my experience, is the more you can have outside, the
So we had it in-house in the early 2000s, and again, they can do it easier, cheaper, more efficient, and really, to be honest with you, we don't want to deal with personal health information in this office.
absolutely. Thank you.
Commissioner Ashcraft?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Christensen, I'll direct this to you. This approach is appealing in lots of different ways. But just listening to the synopsis, and I haven't had time really to delve into it, but it sounds like it's attempting to address some potentially significant internal control issues based on how dispersed it is and the number of hands that get into it. So that makes sense. But I wanted to ask you, was this ever included in your risk and vulnerability assessment for your operation?
Well, FMLA is handled in HR,
Well,
so it wouldn't be, but
You were here.
oh boy, you're calling me back from 2 years ago?
Can't duck it that easily.
I don't know, and maybe, it might have been, I'm
I
sure it
just don't
was.
recall it, that's
Yeah,
why.
I don't recall either.
Okay, well, I've got a number of incidental questions, but just looking at it, 3 hours per claim, 2,000 to 2,500 claims, that's 6,000 to 7,500 FTEs a year. I mean, that's significant.
Yes.
And I'd like to learn more about some of, you make reference to benchmarking and the staff utilization, and potential cost savings, and the efficiencies. I'd like to learn more about that. So if we could visit before next week, and Ms. Holloway is more than welcome to, I mean, you were HR director.
Yes, I
so,
recall.
You
So-
have broad shoulders, I just would be interested.
And we do have KPIs, Kayla and I have talked about that, so that we do have tracking, because we do want to be able to have that in the HR department's budget books for tracking. Yes.
Very good, thank you.
Yep.
Commissioner Brewer?
Yes, you had shared, Ms. Holloway, in your presentation, it's not written in the briefing materials, but that utilization was about 5 times more than, so repeat what you shared. I was
Yes.
trying to find it in the,
Yes, so in 2024, we processed close to 2,500 requests for FMLA. The benchmark, and some of that information is coming also through, comes through SHRM as well as through our CBIZ work that's being done right now. The benchmark nationally for organizations our size is about between 5 and 10% of employee population. So at 2,500, we're closer to about 56%.
and that's just looking at in 2024. I don't know if you guys are going back and looking at a 3-year average or.
We
because-
did not, but we've been looking at it for 2026, and we're on the same
Okay.
path and target for that 23 to 2,500.
I would maybe suggest as a separate activity is gaining an understanding why we have such high utilization. That if we're so outside of the curve, that caught my attention. It was almost hard to even absorb the rest that you were saying, because catching that particular data point made me thoughtful about there's an anomaly there. What are we doing to understand that anomaly?
And that is underway. I'm happy to share a little bit more context on
I would
that.
appreciate that. And then, under step 2, determine eligibility. HR determines whether employee is eligible for FMLA based on the 1,250 hours of service, at least 12 months of employment, and remaining available FMLA. Because that 1,250 hours of service over a year, that would be about 24 hours and change a week. Is that how the federal policy reads? I just couldn't
Yes.
remember. It's been,
Yes.
I had to do, much like Commissioner Hanslick for my organization, I handled FMLA, and I'm like going, was that the benchmark number? I couldn't remember.
Yes, that is the guideline established in the law.
Okay, and in concept, I don't have an issue with this. What I'm hearing is what was taking up a lot of staff time is being reorganized to be outsourced for all the reasons you enumerated, and in order to be able to manage that within the budget scope, it aligns nicely with a reorganization of how you utilize remaining human resource staff.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Hanslick.
Thank you. I wanted to just clarify that even though FMLA can be challenging to administer, it is such an important program. And just to speak on a personal level, my older daughter was born long before FMLA was in place, and because I had some medical complications and there was nothing that allowed me to take extra time off, I had to quit my job. And I'm so thrilled that we now have this opportunity, not only for people having babies, but also people caring for elderly parents, people caring for children. This is such a protection for people who have those kind of circumstances, that they won't have to lose their job. It is a challenge to administer, lots of red tape, but it's worth it because of the difference it can make in families' lives. So thank you for doing that.
Commissioner Fast.
Yes, and I maybe missed that. So when you take FMLA, you can use your sick time, right? And when does short-term disability kick in? Because I've worked at some jobs that your short-term disability can kick in on day one, and others it can't. And so there's those that kick in right away. It's much more of it's not incentive, but it makes it easier to do FMLA.
Okay, so FMLA is just a coverage, it's not paid. So you can be paid FMLA or unpaid FMLA. So if you're on FMLA and you would have sick leave or any leave available to you, then you would get paid FMLA. If you have an employee that does not have any leave time, they still be on FMLA, they still have the protection coverage, but they won't get paid. Sick disability, or sick disability piece, it falls in after 14 days of the event, and it would pay 80% of the employee's salary, and then the other 20% is either made up of leave time or they don't get paid. That make sense?
And is our short-term disability pretty standard coverage, or is it pretty extensive? Because I've worked in places where
Let's say it's standard.
it's standard. Okay,
Yeah,
I didn't know.
It's a 14-day wait, so.
Okay. But
if-
on what it covers, though? And what sort of disability?
It covers the standard.
Okay, okay, thank you.
It's not enhanced. If I could make, though, for Commissioner Brewer, the one thing that we, when we were talking about the number of people and stuff, that we are a very decentralized organization. We depend on our departments to help us with FMLA. And so it's not just in benefits, it's not just in HR, it's all those people out there in the field. And Kayla and I presented on this to those folks that handle that. And I would say there was a lot of smiles in the group that knew that we're going to get away from some of that information. The only thing that they really would have to be responsible for is just making sure that they're tracking the FMLA through the timekeeping system so that it feeds into payroll, so that we show that what's being used, and then we'll have data files that'll go from here to Lincoln Financial, and that's where all the tracking will happen.
Go ahead, Commissioner Brewer.
It just did bring up one other question for me, and just remind me, under FMLA, if I need to use the maximum amount of time, and it's unpaid, right? I have already utilized my paid sick leave. During the unpaid portion, am I still eligibly covered under my health care coverage that I may purchase through the?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, because I think I'm going, I feel like I'm going to show my age here. Years ago, before FMLA, if somebody needed some long-term unpaid leave, there was that gap, because I remember situations where I had to have employees, because that protection wasn't there, and then we had to figure out how to continue them on the healthcare aspect of them being complete employee pay until they were back on the payroll. And that's one of the important benefits of, it prompted when Commissioner Hanslick made the comment about having to, step away from that employment. You threw me back into those pre-FMLA days, Commissioner Hanslick, and I was remembering some of the hiccups that happened if somebody had a long-term illness or medical situation where they needed to step away for a longer than.
Right, and we do have that probably all day. We have people on unpaid, because there's folks that sick disability is only for the employee. You could be on FMLA for a spouse or a child, and so they'll exhaust their leave time. There's lots of people that are always on unpaid leave, but our staff and benefits will do a billing. The employees will send us a check to keep their coverage going.
Okay,
Yep.
that's what I was wondering. Thank you.
All right, thank you both very much.
Thank you.
I believe that's all the items we have on agenda review for next week. So without further ado, this agenda review is adjourned, and then we will change the technology and open the agenda review for the special PBC meeting. Thank you.